Oh, hey, hello, everyone. We're sorry about the imagery, but we're back with another video, and today we're gonna watch the cross examination with Amber Heard's psychologist, I think. Okay, we're gonna see. Let's put this one. Let's see here. All right.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Dr. Hughes. I'm Wayne Dennis, and we haven't met.
No, good morning.
Good morning. You testified yesterday that you have to give careful attention to gendered stereotypes.
That is correct.
When you're talking about intimate partner violence, you have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes. And during your testimony, you in fact paid attention to gendered stereotypes, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, you said we were going to have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes, and then you testified at length where you referenced both men and women. You paid attention to those stereotypes during the course of your testimony, correct?
What I was saying was you have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes when you're conducting these evaluations. You can't assume all the time that the male is the perpetrator and the female is the victim. You have to go into the evaluation understanding that the male also could be the victim of intimate partner violence.
In fact, you're aware that there are large-scale studies that do say that IPV towards males does exist.
Of course.
Okay. And every time you referred to the characteristic of a victim of intimate partner violence.
I'm gonna pause this video. Just want to make sure that I'm on the right track. So they're doing a cross-examination, questioning this lady. Okay, hold on. All right. Oh my goodness. You guys are coming here. Hi, Roselle's daughter. Thank you for your support. I'm just gonna do a live reaction and stuff like that. But we already know the truth on my other channel. It is what it is. So we're gonna continue.
Yesterday, you used the pronouns she or her, didn't you?
I was using the she.
Just okay, I know there's there's this binary. I don't know what to call it. Binary. Some people don't like to be called she or her and stuff like that, and it's a part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's so funny. I was speaking to someone that was transgender, and every time, I guess he kept saying she and her. So if you're binary, aren't you not supposed to use she, her? Isn't it a they, them? I don't know. There's like a double standard. Isn't binary people not supposed to use she and her? Okay. Oh, nice. That's going to be fun. Good for you, Roselle's daughter. Because she did an op-ed, right? She did an op-ed of Johnny Depp allegedly beating her and stuff like that. So he's suing her for defamation of character and so on and so forth. I think I'm gonna have to read all the list of things why he's suing her. So we're just gonna go back in the video and we're just gonna watch it together.
And her pronouns in this case, because my determination was, as I stated, that Ms. Heard was the victim of intimate partner violence. That is why I was using the she, her pronoun.
You, in fact, said women gets into the relationship for all the right reasons. That's what you said. Woman gets into the relationship for all the right reasons. And then you say difficult for victim to extricate herself. Go on to say that she can and she should.
Okay.
Over and over, you use she, right?
I believe in this case I did, because I was referencing this case where I found Miss Heard to be the victim of intimate partner violence. It doesn't mean that men don't get into the relationships.
And there's another thing that I would just want to point out, and I'm probably going to get hate out of this. It's hard to take away the vocabulary of she and her, because millions upon millions upon billions upon billions of people use the pronoun of she and her. So it's like if someone is approaching you and you are a binary person and someone to say, hey, miss, you know, that person will get mad. The binary will get mad. But I feel like be a little sensitive, because some people don't know what the heck is the binary thing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a little understanding. I feel like the world needs more understanding, basically. So, like I said, I was speaking to a binary person, and she was using all the pronouns. So I'm like kind of confused.
For all the right reasons too. I believe they do.
Nearly every time you reference the perpetrator of IPV, you use he or him, didn't you?
And it goes back to the same reasoning as I'm describing my understanding and my evaluation in this matter. Of course, men can be perpetrators and victims of intimate partner violence. That's well established in the research, and that's well established in my clinical practice as well.
Isn't the
I gotta be
reason
honest, I really don't care about this part. I want to get to the meat of the video.
the pronouns that you did, that you almost always testify on behalf of a woman?
That's not correct.
You don't even remember the last time you testified on behalf of a man.
Well, I don't testify on behalf of someone. I testify as to the results of my evaluation. I frequently treat and assess male victims of childhood sexual abuse who are coming into treatment for abuse by their Boy Scout leader, by their coach, by their teacher, by a trusted adult. I see them in therapy. I see them in forensic matters, in criminal cases. So I treat and evaluate men all the time.
I didn't ask you about treatment. I asked you about testimony. You broke out your practice between treatment and testimony. I'm not asking about treatment. When's the last time you testified on behalf of a man?
I testified recently in a deposition on behalf of a man who was traumatized because he was wrongly convicted.
Honestly, I'm not a lawyer, but this conversation seems a little annoying, and I want him to move on into the next one. I don't know. This is like remember, you guys, I never pick sides, but I'm always on the side of the innocents, okay? Johnny Depp is definitely innocent, okay? She did not get abused, allegedly. She did not, I'm telling you, not N-O-T, get abused. Let's continue. Just want them to.
At the time of your deposition 6 weeks ago, you couldn't remember a single time you had testified on behalf of a man.
I testified in my deposition that I testified in a case of a man who was wrongly convicted about 20 years and suffered physical and sexual violence in prison, and I detailed the traumatic effects of that happened on that gentleman.
All right, why don't we take a look at your deposition?
Sure.
Well, the other ones are very aggressive too. You got to be aggressive. I think they're trying to gotcha.
All right.
They're putting her under pressure.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Transcript of the deposition that you gave March 28th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to page 77.
Okay. Go to page 77. I just want the lawyer to move on to the next. Like, this is irrelevant. I don't know why they started with this one.
Look at page 78, line 8. So you can't recall a single instance where you were hired by the attorney representing the male in an IPV matter, correct?
In an IPV matter, not in a trauma matter or a child sexual abuse matter.
Okay, so that's the distinction. You don't have any recollection of ever testifying on behalf of a male in an IPV matter.
As I stated yesterday, the very first case that I testified in was in a same-sex intimate partner violence where the man was the victim of another man. I routinely treat and assess same-sex
Oh, they're trying to
couples
get her to
where
say
the
Johnny.
female can be the perpetrator of another female, and the male can be the perpetrator or a victim of
I'm
his
so
partner.
confused with this conversation.
So let me get this. You testified in a case where one male is alleged to have engaged in an IPV against another male.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
But that's the only one you remember. That's the only one you remember.
No, I've done this frequently. As you well know, most cases don't go to trial. I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of cases. You've limited to testimony. Many cases don't come to trial, but I've issued reports and worked on many cases of same-sex intimate partner violence where men are the victims.
But I did ask you about testimony, and I limited the question to testimony, and the only testimony that you remember is the same-sex couple, right?
I need to watch this
There were
from.
multiple same-sex couples, I believe, that I testified
That you
in.
testified in court.
Can we move
at
on?
trial.
I believe so, yes.
All right, but you didn't remember that in March.
I did remember that in March.
Okay. You're a professional witness, correct?
That's not correct.
No? You make
What?
hundreds of thousands of dollars a year testifying in court, correct?
Not testifying in court, I conduct thorough, comprehensive psychological evaluations of individuals who are
If you guys look at the
involved in a
difference
court
with
case.
this
The
doctor
majority
and
of
the other
those
doctor,
cases never show up in a courtroom.
Miss Curry?
And half of my practice
Big
and
difference.
half of my income is about my clinical work with people who are coming to me for therapy.
I didn't ask you about the other half of your income. I'm
He's
asking
so
you
aggressive.
whether you made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year testifying as an expert witness in court.
As you're phrasing that question, that's not correct. That would be the amount of income that I generate from my forensic practice. I testify perhaps maybe once or twice a year. Most of the work is done behind the scenes in evaluating individuals and issuing reports.
But you'll agree with me that a big part of that practice is providing expert witness testimony.
That's not correct.
No?
Okay, can we
That's
move
not
on?
a big part of your practice.
If I testify twice a year, that's not a big part of my practice. All the other time is doing the work for the cases and evaluating the individuals and issuing reports.
Please, I hope this is not going to be the whole conversation because, oh my God. Okay.
All right. What percentage of work do you devote to forensic psychology?
Forensic psychology.
As I stated yesterday, I say half and half clinical, half forensic, but I also have a substantial amount of time that I use in the professional activities and serving on a professional board.
So what portion of your practice do you provide expert witness services?
I think you're using the expert witness services synonymous with the forensic psychology part of the practice. So the forensic psychology practice, what I do here today is one part of it, and it's a smaller part as opposed to all of the evaluations and individuals that I'm assessing.
What are we talking about?
Your practice is successful enough that you maintain your offices on Madison Avenue in New York, correctly?
Correct. I've had that office since 2005.
Right.
It's a waste of time.
And you're sufficiently successful at your forensic work that you're able to perform unpaid work at a hospital, correct?
Correct. And I also do pro bono work as well.
There.
I don't think it's
In
that.
fact, you actually instruct others on the use of expert testimony in court cases, correct?
On the use and understanding trauma and violence abuse in the courtroom.
Me
and
too,
how
I'm
to,
lost.
for advocates and people who could not have this level of training or experience, how to come into the courtroom and talk about very difficult issues of domestic violence. Yes.
All right. Can we pull up PX 1241?
Oh, because she's Amber Heard's psychologist. And she said that Amber Heard was abused and all that stuff. And
You recognize that
I guess
document?
if she was there.
Yes, it looks like the front page of a PowerPoint presentation
And it's a PowerPoint presentation given by whom?
by myself and Mary Ann Dutton, who is a very well-known and respected researcher and clinician in the area of domestic violence.
Oh, Lord,
And
have
what's
mercy.
the
That man no
topic of the
sleep.
PowerPoint that you're giving?
Expert witness testimony in cases involving domestic violence.
And who did you give this presentation to?
That was to the National Clearinghouse for the Defense of Battered Women. That is an organization that provides legal services to women who have assaulted or killed their partners in self-defense, and mostly people who these individuals, the women who they've seen in treatment are through shelter-based programs or through advocates, and those are individuals who don't really know how to come into the courtroom and talk, and that's what this presentation and training was for.
And if you notice, no one.
PX 1241 in evidence.
Any objection?
Okay, now they're
All
doing
right,
objections.
1241 in
The other one's
evidence.
like she kept getting
You want it published
interrupted all the time.
or-
Yes, let's publish it to the jury. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Why don't we pull up PX 1242?
How long do they have to stay in court? It's a long time. I don't like going.
You recognize this document?
Yes, this also looks like a PowerPoint presentation that I gave.
All right. And what is the name of this PowerPoint presentation?
This is called The Use of Psychological Experts in Cases of Domestic Violence. It was presented to the Kings County Bar Association, which is in Brooklyn. And what this presentation talked about was some of the things that I talked to you all about yesterday, the myths and misconceptions in intimate partner violence, when women use force, what happens if they drop protective orders, how they present in court. And that's what this presentation was to attorneys at the Bar Association.
Okay. But this is another presentation that you gave.
Wait, I gotta read. So let me see what you said, Irene. She goes, all this when she knows she's to go through all this when she knows she's lying from the beginning and none believing her. It's crazy. Hold on. Waste of the court's time and lawyer's time. Yeah.
As to the use of psychological experts, and you gave it to a bar association.
Right, they were prosecutors and defense attorneys in attendance at that Bar
Right.
Association.
I wonder if Amber paid this
Your
woman.
deposition, you testified that you were going to be paid $100 an hour for your time in this case.
I did not testify to that.
You did not?
That's an error in the transcript.
Oh, that's not right.
That's correct.
So, and you corrected the transcript?
We did not do an errata in the transcript at this point.
So you knew there was an error in the transcript, but you didn't fix it?
There were several errors in the transcript.
But you didn't fix any of them?
There was no time to fix them, that's correct.
If
So
there's an error,
You're not being paid $100 an hour. How much are you getting?
I'm being paid $500 an hour.
$500 an hour.
let me be a
And that's
psychologist.
and that's the bill you sent for your deposition, right? $500 an hour.
I know.
Correct.
You submitted a number of disclosures in this case.
Okay, keep going.
You have not formed an opinion as to whether Mr. Depp committed intimate partner violence against Ms. Heard, correct?
Correct. I formed the opinion that Ms. Heard's report of the intimate partner violence is consistent with what we know in the literature about intimate partner violence.
You have a limited role here
I've never heard of these words.
comparing individual
Intimate partner violence. I've never heard of that. That's just
data to
Something-
group data and then just determining whether it's consistent, right?
I wouldn't say it's a limited role, but that's generally correct.
You wouldn't use the word limited role?
A limited role in terms of how we go about a forensic evaluation,
you
not
know
a
whether-
limited role in this case.
Do you remember whether you used limited role in your deposition?
I don't. If you have it in front of me, you probably think I did, but sure.
I hope I don't
And you
get
have no
copyright for this.
independent knowledge of the facts underlying the alleged abuse, correct?
I have the knowledge of the plethora of documents that I've reviewed in this case.
No, I'm asking you your independent firsthand knowledge. You have none of that, right?
You mean whether I was there?
Yeah, you weren't there.
Of course not.
Okay. And you're not testifying to the veracity, the truthfulness of any of the allegations.
Correct. I'm testifying to the consistency of the data points of all the different documents, including the psychological testing and the clinical evaluation that I conducted of Ms. Heard, and how that comports with the therapy records and all the other documents and the photos and text that I reviewed.
And you have no personal knowledge of any abuse.
Correct, personally. Correct.
Right. And all you know is what Ms. Heard self-reported to you and others.
That's not correct.
I know what he's doing. Oh my God, it's so manipulative. I know what he's doing. Lawyers, Johnny's lawyers. Okay, let's continue.
Because you did collateral interviews?
And I reviewed medical records, and I reviewed other witness statements of what they witnessed and what they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those statements that you reviewed, those were statements that started with Ms. Heard, correct?
Not necessarily.
Well, the medical records did, didn't they?
Well, the medical records, if she's self-reporting what happened to her, sure. I mean, that's what we do when we go to a physician. We say, I have a headache. We're self-reporting our difficulty.
Yeah.
I want to hear it from
Ms. Heard
the psychologist
reported
perspective.
directly to you was after she was sued by Mr. Depp in this case, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And you didn't meet Ms. Heard until, what, September 2019?
That was the first evaluation appointment, correct.
How'd you get engaged?
Engaged?
How'd you get hired to do this work?
I was contacted by the legal team.
Or were you interviewed by her legal team as to whether you were going to testify here?
I was not.
You were not interviewed.
I was not.
You were contacted.
Correct.
Had you worked with that legal team before?
I had.
Yeah. So they already knew who you were, right?
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And at any time that you were working with Ms. Heard or assessing Ms. Heard, she could have chose to fire you, correct?
I suppose her legal team could have chose to fire her. I was not her. She is not
So I'm
my
just gonna-
client. The legal team is.
Okay, so what you said, let me see. So what you said, I wonder how long is this trial going to last, and when is they going to have the verdict? I don't know, but we all know from the other channel. Remember, you guys, if you see this video, subscribe to Psychic Carlene. Okay, I did a video doing a psychic prediction on this, and I said that Johnny Depp will win, and Amber Heard, this thing is gonna ruin her career. It's like, bye. She can apply to work at Love and Hip Hop if they want her. If they would be so kind.
The one who hires me. I am responsible to the legal team, not Ms. Heard.
And the legal team hired you already knew who you were because you worked together previously.
And clearly they knew of my expertise in this area of
face, look.
partner violence and traumatic stress, which is why
Day by day.
they contacted me to work on this matter.
All right. Several times yesterday, you used language about assessing Ms. Heard's relationship with Mr. Depp. You remember talking about that?
Sure.
You can't assess a relationship without talking to both parties, can you?
Right.
You certainly can get a lot of information from one party. Absolutely.
No, you need
And
both
especially
sides
when it's
and the
buttressed
truth.
by other documents, including 4 years of therapy records and couples therapy records, you can get a lot of information based on those documents and that contemporaneous reports of the relationship.
Respectfully, I didn't ask whether you get a lot of information. I asked whether you can assess a relationship without talking to both parties.
I believe you can. There are certainly limitations inherent in that, but you certainly can.
I think you need
You
both sides to
talked
see both
to
sides.
Ms. Heard for, what, approximately 30 hours, right?
Correct.
How long have you spent with Mr. Depp?
I did not spend any time with Mr. Depp. It was my
Exactly.
understanding that he did not sit for a psychological evaluation.
You know what what Amber should have done if she was smart, but then it was still tinker. She should have get a psychologist to evaluate Johnny. I see what the lawyer's doing, and he's smart. She should have done that, because it's not gonna look biased. Right now it looks biased. That's what she should have done, because Johnny hired a psychologist to evaluate Amber. So she should have done the same. And then both sides would have come to a conclusion and give their outcome, their statements and stuff like that. But therefore, she is evaluating. I see what he's trying to do. She evaluated her only. Okay? She should have evaluated him too. But you can see a liar for a liar. A liar will always look like a liar. You cannot fool the jury. The jury will see. I mean, you could fool the Kardashian jury, whatever. But this jury right here, I don't think you could fool them. Let's get into it. Ooh.
Right. In fact, you never met Mr. Depp, have you?
I have not.
But you purport to be able to assess the relationship between Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
But I also read Mr. Depp's transcripts of his testimony. I watched his deposition testimony. I reviewed his medical records. I reviewed his text messages. So it's not necessarily totally blind. I did have information, although I'm not making a conclusion about Mr. Depp himself.
Is the standard now not necessarily totally blind? That's how you assess the relationship? If it's not necessarily totally blind, I can assess it?
No, we assess as clinical psychologists relationships all the time. That's what we're trained to do. Certainly someone who's been trained in intimate partner violence to understand and look for the dynamics that happen in that relationship.
She would have get more death, death, if she evaluated Johnny. But you see, the thing, if she hired her to evaluate Johnny, she has to tell the truth, okay? Because Johnny is the real victim here. So she didn't want no emo on her. So that's why she didn't get Johnny evaluated, because Johnny is truthful. Johnny will tell the truth. Johnny's telling the truth whenever. Is that you on the picture? Yes, it is. Is this what you do? Did you do drugs? Yes, I did. Were you aggressive? Yes, but to the cabinets, not to Miss Amber. He was truthful. But her, it's like, oh, he hit me, he raped me, he did this to me. I'm not saying don't believe women, but come on, I feel like men can be victims as well. You know what I'm saying? Some women are abusive, just like, her, allegedly. Because I ain't got the coins right now,
And then when we have external data that supports what the individual is telling us, way before this legal case even came on the scene, that becomes very strong data to support that conclusion.
Let's talk about some of that data.
Sure.
All right. You chose to conduct some collateral interview.
Correct.
Right? And you interviewed Dr. Bonnie Jacob.
Correct.
And you looked at her notes.
Correct.
And you know that Miss Jacobs,
you guys
Dr.
notice the way she would be like this. Miss Amber Heard right here is acting, y'all. Don't believe the how you would say, don't believe her. It's all acting, and it's bad acting. Horrible.
Jacobs
Stevie Wonder could see this.
doesn't know anything about the version of what happened in Australia until Miss Heard had already been sued, correct?
I believe she was not in treatment with Dr. Jacobs at the time the Australia incident occurred. So that would be correct. She did reach out to Dr. Connell Cohen about Australia, who she was treating with at that time contemporaneously.
All right, I'll ask you about that. We'll get there. So, you know that Miss Heard stopped seeing Dr. Jacobs in August 2014.
That's correct.
And she didn't go back until after she got sued, right?
I believe that's the date. I'd have to look.
He's holding
to
her
make sure,
ground,
I
but
believe
they're
that you're
going to
correct.
get her. I see what he's
And
doing.
you said you reviewed you interviewed Dr. Connell.
That's correct.
And you also reviewed his deposition testimony.
That's correct.
And you know that he testified that when he was treating a patient, he assumes the patient is
Barbara is
telling
not
the
the smartest,
truth,
you guys.
correct?
I believe he said something to that effect in his deposition.
She thinks she's gonna win.
And
If
he
he has
wasn't-
no reason to believe otherwise, if there's no other data to believe
Oh man, you guys. I think the video's done. Anyways, thank you again for tuning in and watching this video with me. Tomorrow we will I don't know what happened in the rest of the video. I don't know. Like, subscribe, share with your friends and family if you like this video. We're gonna follow this case. I have to, oh my god, I have to watch all the videos with you guys because it's now that I'm getting started. I did a video yesterday on what is this? Let's see. I did a video and shoot. I did a video last night, midnight, no, 1 o'clock, something like that. And after that, I was like wiped out. But if you like this video, put the thumbs up and we're going to look. I want to look tomorrow. I want to see Amber Heard on testifying. So I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see. I seen a little bit and I'm like, oh my God, Pinocchio. We're just going to call her Amber Pinocchio. Do you think Amber feels like she might lose this case? She is very delusional and she thinks she is going to win. And karma don't play. Karma don't play. That's all I got to say. We can go, we can do a part 2 reading on it on the other channel on Psychic Carlene. And this one is going to be very commentary and stuff like that. But you know what? You guys use your own intuition and see, how do you feel about this? How do you feel the energy of the whole, the court? How do you feel about, about this case? Comment below. Let's talk. Let's start a conversation because this is a hot mess. Amber, unfortunately for her, she has history of abusing her wife. She went to jail. She abused her sister. She lies, and there's no proof to prove that she's innocent. There's proof that he did stuff to Johnny, but the problem was Johnny. You should have definitely documented it. Like, he took pictures. I mean, like, you should have gone to the police and reported that you have been abused by a woman. Period. But I understand sometimes men, like, if they're getting abused by women, they don't like to be seen as like a bitch, and we live in a society where people judge all the time. I don't know, like, one of my subscribers said, like, she knew someone, a man that was being abused by his wife. He called the police and the police laughed at him, didn't believe him, so he stopped calling. Can you imagine? And I think he should sue. But can you imagine you calling the police, you're a man, you're being abused by your wife or your girlfriend, and they don't believe you, and then she still keep doing that? What is this? Anyways, please comment, share, like, subscribe if you like this video. Let's start a conversation. We're gonna listen to Amber Heard tomorrow. I'll see you next time. I love you, and thank you so much for my day ones. Oh, my subs on my other channel. I love you guys. I'll see if I can do a free reading tomorrow. So yeah. All right. Bye.